Imagine this. You wake up one morning and everything seems just as it should be, yet there's something subtly off. The world around you looks the same, but deep down you feel a shift you can't quite explain. Could it be that you've unknowingly stepped into a different version of reality? Maybe it sounds far-fetched, but countless individuals have described eerily similar experiences. They're not seeing obvious changes. Rather, it's the quiet, almost imperceptible differences that make them pause. You may have felt it too, a strange blend of déjà vu and discomfort, like something is slightly misaligned. Perhaps you've picked up on small behavioral differences in people you know, or found your memories contradicting what's commonly accepted. These aren't necessarily products of your imagination. They might be clues, indicators that you've crossed into an alternate version of your world without even realizing it. As you begin to notice these small inconsistencies, it's possible that you are experiencing a convergence of timelines, a phenomenon where multiple timelines that once seemed separate begin to overlap. This could be why you are noticing subtle changes in your world that feel both familiar and foreign. Imagine these timelines as streams running parallel to one another, each with its own set of events and outcomes. Occasionally, these streams might merge, creating moments where the boundaries between realities become blurred. These convergences might not always be dramatic, but they can explain why sometimes your memories or experiences don't seem to align with the world around you. It's as though your mind is trying to reconcile fragments of experiences from different versions of yourself, leading to a sense of confusion or recognition of things that shouldn't be there. This brings us to the many worlds interpretation, a theory in quantum mechanics that offers a way of understanding these alternate versions of reality. Proposed by Hugh Everett in the 1950s, it suggests that with every decision we make, the universe splits, creating a new, parallel world where a different version of us exists. This theory challenges the idea that time and space are linear. Instead, reality unfolds in a branching tree where each decision branches into a new timeline, giving birth to countless versions of reality. Let's say, for instance, you decided to stay home last night, but in another reality you chose to go out, and that decision shaped a completely different set of events. Each timeline exists independently, but they all stem from a common root, the original decision point. Over time, these branches can diverge significantly, creating experiences so distinct that they can feel like entirely separate universes. This theory offers a framework to explain not only the subtle shifts you may be noticing, but also why the feeling of dissonance occurs when something seems both familiar and alien at the same time. The timeline you're currently experiencing may have just diverged, and what you're sensing are the echoes of your former self navigating through a different reality. With this in mind, it's important to recognize that consciousness plays a significant role in these shifts. Our awareness and the decisions we make might not just influence the immediate course of our lives. They could be affecting the larger multiverse itself. In other words, every choice we make can echo across multiple timelines. What we think is a small decision in one version of reality could create massive ripple effects in another. This means that the power of choice isn't just a personal matter, it's a cosmic event. Your consciousness, the very essence of who you are, may not be confined to one version of reality. It may be existing in multiple realities simultaneously, experiencing different versions of life in parallel. Imagine that your mind, in essence, could be tuned to different frequencies, and at times you might be more attuned to one frequency or timeline than another. These changes in frequency could explain why you feel out of sync, or why your sense of self shifts subtly, as if you are wearing someone else's memories. As we explore this, one of the most intriguing phenomena that often accompanies these shifts is synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that defy logical explanation. You may see repeated patterns in numbers, meet the same person in different places, or experience events that seem too perfectly timed to be random. These synchronicities are not merely accidents. They may be the universe's way of drawing your attention to the underlying interconnectedness of all things. In the context of alternate realities, synchronicities could serve as signals from the multiverse, messages that hint at changes or shifts happening in your personal timeline. If you feel a sense of recognition or alignment with certain events, it could be an indication that you are in sync with a new branch of reality, one that is unfolding in a way that resonates deeply with your soul's journey. Paying attention to these signs can help you stay grounded as you navigate through a potentially shifting landscape of multiple worlds. Have you ever experienced a moment where you recall something differently than others do? Perhaps you remember an event from your past, but those around you have a completely different recollection. These moments can be disorienting, leading us to question whether our memory is faulty or if something deeper is at play. This phenomenon is often linked to the Mandela Effect, where large groups of people share the same false memory. These memory discrepancies challenge the conventional understanding of how we perceive reality. What if these memory gaps are not just errors in cognition, but actual remnants of alternate versions of reality bleeding through into our current experience? If alternate realities do exist, then it's possible that you have, at one point, lived out a version of an event in a different reality. Perhaps the version you remember didn't happen exactly as others recall it. And in this new version of reality, the timeline has shifted in ways that make the event seem altered. This doesn't mean your memories are wrong. It could mean that you've shifted realities and that your current version of yourself is now perceiving events through a different lens. As you sit with these ideas, ask yourself, what if the reality you're experiencing right now is only one of many versions of the same life? What if the experiences you have today are only a fraction of what is possible? The world around you may seem fixed, but in the grand scheme of the multiverse, your reality is only one thread in an infinitely woven tapestry of existence. With this understanding, you might begin to approach life with a greater sense of curiosity and freedom. Nothing is truly fixed. Every choice, every thought, every moment holds the potential to shift you into a new version of yourself, a version that may be more aligned with who you truly are or who you're becoming. And as you continue to explore these subtle shifts in perception, remember, the mysteries of the multiverse are only just beginning to unfold. Beyond memory discrepancies and time distortions, another intriguing element that's frequently reported is a sudden shift in perception, almost like a mental click. People describe it as an internal jolt or flash of awareness that something has just changed, even when nothing externally seems different. This moment can be subtle or overwhelming, and it often precedes the realization that things are slightly out of place. It's as if your consciousness briefly caught the edge of the curtain, hiding the mechanics of reality. These moments may be connected to what some call thin places, locations where the boundaries between realities feel unusually permeable. Have you ever walked into a space and felt overwhelmed by a strange energy? Maybe time seemed to slow, your thoughts got louder, or emotions bubbled up without clear cause. These places could be nodes where timelines converge or overlap, making them hotspots for shifts in awareness. Another insight worth exploring is the role of intention and focus in navigating alternate realities. Some researchers and spiritual thinkers suggest that our attention acts like a tuning fork. Where we focus our energy might determine which version of reality we lock into. This perspective aligns with quantum theories, suggesting observation plays a role in shaping outcomes. Could it be that by intentionally shifting your mindset or emotions, you're also tuning into a different version of your life? Dreams might not just reflect alternate realities. They may be gateways to them. Lucid dreamers often report experiencing worlds with consistent rules, environments, and characters over repeated visits, almost as if they're tapping into stable alternate dimensions. What's more, decisions made in lucid dreams can sometimes ripple into waking life, affecting mood, perspective, or even memory. If dreams are bridges, then keeping a dream journal isn't just introspective, it's interdimensional research. The universe might be responding to your inner shifts as much as you're reacting to it. A growing number of people report synchronicities intensifying when they're going through major personal transitions. These aren't random occurrences. They seem orchestrated, purposeful. They often carry messages, coincidences, or events that feel too perfectly timed to dismiss. Perhaps your consciousness, as it evolves or opens up, starts syncing with realities that reflect your internal frequency. As we delve further into the nature of parallel realities, we start to confront the paradoxes that come with these ideas. For instance, the idea of free will. If every decision splits the timeline into multiple branches, does that mean our choices are predetermined within a greater structure, or are we still free to choose within our individual versions of reality? This paradox can be mind-bending. If every decision leads to infinite possibilities, does this imply there's a master plan of sorts where all outcomes are valid, or are we truly navigating a chaotic multiverse of random events? Personal growth and transformation also take on new dimensions when viewed through the lens of alternate realities. We often think of ourselves as evolving through time in a linear way, one life, one path, one journey. But what if our growth is not confined to just this timeline? What if, as we learn and change, we're simultaneously growing in other parallel versions of ourselves, each evolving in different ways? The way you behave, think, or feel in one reality may resonate and ripple through other versions of you, making personal development a multidimensional experience. In a sense, this means that your true self isn't bound to one reality or experience. The idea that you are a singular entity progressing through life becomes more fluid when we embrace the idea that each choice you make leads to an alternate you. There may be versions of you in different worlds living out parallel experiences, learning different lessons, or manifesting different potentials. This offers a fresh perspective on life's difficulties and challenges. Perhaps the version of you struggling with something today is learning a lesson that's already been mastered by another version in a different reality. And maybe, just maybe, those other versions of you are influencing your current self through subtle channels. This concept ties into the idea of the multiversal self, a theory that suggests your consciousness is far more expansive than you may realize. Some propose that we're not just individual beings confined to a single body. Rather, we are part of a larger, collective web of consciousness that spans across multiple realities. Imagine your consciousness as a river flowing through an endless landscape of alternate lives and timelines. Your awareness may shift and flow from one branch to another, experiencing different versions of events, characters, and circumstances, all while remaining tethered to the larger source. Another curious aspect of reality shifts is the possible role of technology and artificial intelligence in these experiences. As we continue to develop increasingly sophisticated tools, could these innovations be acting as conduits or bridges between realities? The more advanced technology becomes, the more it starts to blur the lines between physical reality and the virtual world. Augmented reality, virtual reality, and AI systems are already providing experiences that seem to stretch the limits of what we perceive as real. Could these technologies in the future play a role in guiding us into alternate timelines? Or could AI, with its capacity to analyze vast amounts of data, begin to perceive and perhaps even influence the shifting landscapes of reality itself? As we move toward deeper understanding, there's also the emotional aspect of navigating parallel realities. People often experience profound feelings of loss, nostalgia, or homesickness when they become aware of a reality shift. It can be unsettling to realize that in another timeline, a relationship, career, or opportunity that once felt meant to be might not have panned out the way you expected. In fact, these emotions can create a kind of displacement, a sense that you're no longer aligned with the timeline you once thought was your own. This emotional friction may be a sign of adjustment as you recalibrate to a new version of yourself and your world. It's also worth considering how time travel might relate to these shifts. While we often think of time travel in terms of futuristic machines or paradoxical journeys, what if it's actually a subtle shift of consciousness? Perhaps time travel isn't something mechanical, but rather a fluid navigation of timelines by our own awareness. When you step out of your usual timeline and into another, it may feel like you've traveled through time. Only the time you're experiencing may not be linear. It may be a sequence of moments arranged differently from your current understanding of time. Let's touch on the collective experience of shifting realities. We tend to think of reality as a personal experience, something unique to each individual. But what if our shifts also have collective dimensions? Could large groups of people be crossing into alternate timelines at the same time, collectively experiencing a version of reality that is subtly different? Think of mass events or societal shifts that seem to take place almost simultaneously across the world. What if these are examples of parallel realities intersecting at a collective level, where entire groups of people shift into a new understanding of the world around them? This opens the door to a deeper connection between all of us. If reality is fluid, and we can navigate it with intention and awareness, then perhaps we are not just living in parallel realities, we are actively co-creating them. We can shape the course of these realities not just through individual decisions, but through collective energy, thought, and action. Pay attention to the subtle shifts that happen all around you, both internally and externally. Every step you take might be part of a much larger dance of realities, all interwoven, all influencing one another. As we stand at the edge of these ideas, alternate realities, shifting timelines, multiversal selves, what begins as a theoretical musing transforms into something profoundly personal. The more we entertain the possibility that reality is fluid and consciousness is multidimensional, the more we begin to live differently. We start to notice the subtle cues. We become more intentional. We soften our grip on linearity and open ourselves to the beauty of nonlinearity, synchronicity, and the mystery of the unknown. One emerging insight is the idea of resonance alignment, that we are naturally drawn to timelines that match the energetic signature of our inner state. In this view, it's not just about choosing a reality with our actions or thoughts, but about becoming the version of ourselves who already exists in that reality. Instead of trying to change our external world directly, we begin by aligning with the version of ourselves who is already living the life we seek. This is not wishful thinking, it's energetic calibration. You might begin to notice your inner and outer worlds syncing more often. Small decisions, random encounters, chance phrases from strangers all seem to echo something deeper. This may be your own inner compass tuning in to the path where your highest potential unfolds. In a multiverse of infinite outcomes, perhaps the goal isn't to control the direction, but to attune to the version of you that feels the most alive, most true, most free. Another profound shift comes in how we perceive challenges. If each difficulty is not merely a test, but a crossroads, then every moment of hardship may represent an intersection between timelines. Your response in those moments, your energy, your beliefs, your presence, determines which thread you follow. Healing becomes not just a return to wholeness, but a recalibration that shifts you into a reality where you are already whole. Then there is the question of guidance. If realities are layered, who or what is helping us navigate them? Some believe that higher aspects of ourselves, what some call the higher self, oversoul, or source consciousness, are gently guiding us through these branching experiences. These aren't separate beings, but expanded versions of who we already are, reaching across timelines, offering nudges, visions, and feelings that steer us toward the most aligned expression of our soul. And finally, perhaps the most radical idea of all, reality isn't just something we experience, it's something we compose. Like music, it's not fixed or finite. It's a dynamic, evolving masterpiece, with your consciousness as both the composer and the instrument. Your emotions are the rhythm, your thoughts are the melody, your choices are the harmonies that ripple through the field of possibility. So maybe the question isn't which reality am I in, maybe it's which reality am I creating? In this light, life becomes less about certainty and more about curiosity. Less about control and more about coherence. You begin to live in conversation with the universe, knowing that you are both listener and speaker, both dreamer and dreamed. Stay curious. Stay attuned. You are more than a traveler in this infinite expanse. You are a co-creator of its unfolding. And somewhere across the countless worlds that reflect your inner light, the other versions of you are cheering you on.